Good morning from Oklahoma. I'm Dave Deken with a look at what's happening in agriculture and rural life in our great state in this episode of Red Dirt and Round Bales. You can learn a lot about a place by noticing what people plant after the sky has told them no. Out in western Oklahoma, where the wind has room to gather speed and rain clouds can make a promise that, well, it never keeps, you'll sometimes find a field standing waist-high beneath the summer sun. The leaves may be curled from the heat, the ground may be cracked, but above it are those heavy seed heads, red, bronze, yellow, and nearly black. Well, that's sorghum. Now, most Oklahoma farmers call the grain kind Milo, but sorghum has lived more than one life here. It has sweetened biscuits, fed cattle, filled grain elevators, and even swept kitchen floors. And its story began a long way from Oklahoma. Sorghum was domesticated in Africa thousands of years ago. It learned early how to live with heat, uncertain rainfall, and long dry seasons. It reached the United States in the 1850s, when Americans became interested in the juice inside the sweet sorghum cane as a source for syrup. By the time farmers spread across Oklahoma Territory and Indian Territory, sorghum was arriving in several forms. There was sweet sorghum for syrup, there was Milo for grain and livestock, and there was broomcorn, a member of the sorghum family, grown not for food, but for the long, stiff fibers at the top of the plant. Sweet sorghum belonged to the household economy. A family could cut cane in the fall, strip away the leaves, and feed the stalks through a press. Sometimes even a mule would walk in a circle to turn rollers. The pale green juice ran into a barrel or pan, and then it was boiled slowly until water became steam and the juice became thick, dark syrup. But like lots of crops, sorghum was not grown only for the table. Broomcorn grew exceptionally well in Oklahoma as well. It had long seed branches that could be dried, sorted, and tied into household brooms. The work was hot, itchy, and heavily dependent on hard labor. Crews moved through Oklahoma fields cutting and bundling brush before it became too brittle, and there was money in it. Oklahoma led the United States in broomcorn production from 1915 through 1946. Farmers sold the brush to local factories, warehouses, and manufacturers across the country. Towns such as Woodward, Mooreland, and Lindsay all built businesses around the crop. Lindsay eventually advertised itself as the broomcorn capital of the world. Then, the market changed. Synthetic fibers made cheaper brooms. Farm labor became harder to find and more expensive. By 1982, Lindsay's broomcorn era had pretty much ended. The crop hadn't failed. The economy around it did. Meanwhile, another kind of sorghum was rising. Grain sorghum, or Milo. Well, it fit Oklahoma's dry western counties because it could endure heat and use less water than many other summer crops. That did not mean that it was drought-proof. Really, nothing is. But during the Dust Bowl years of the 1930s, crops failed, farms disappeared, and blowing soil sometimes turned daylight into darkness. But sorghum's ability to make use of limited moisture kept it valuable when farmers rebuilt their cropping systems. Then, in the 1950s, hybrid grain sorghum changed the business completely. Improved hybrids helped raise productivity and turn Milo into a more dependable commercial grain. It could feed cattle, go into silage, enter national grain markets, and provide farmers with another choice when corn required more water than the land could comfortably supply. In the Oklahoma Panhandle, irrigated grain sorghum became a major summer crop. By 1980, it covered as many as 116,000 irrigated acres. Corn later gained ground because higher yields could justify the added water and expense. It remained useful on dryland farms in rotations with crops such as wheat and cotton. And it's still here. In 2025, Oklahoma farmers planted about 440,000 acres of sorghum and harvested more than 23 million bushels of grain. Most of it was grown west of I-35, where heat and limited rainfall still shape nearly every farm decision. You know, sorghum has never been Oklahoma's most glamorous crop. Wheat kind of owns that horizon. Cotton carries an old mythology. Corn grows tall enough to demand attention. But sorghum, well, it simply stands there and does the work. It has been syrup in a jar, straw in a broom, silage in a trench, and grain in a truck. It has watched markets rise, towns change, and generations leave the farm. And still, when the summer turns hot and the rain becomes uncertain, those bronze heads appear above the red dirt. And that's the thing about sorghum. It never needed Oklahoma to be easy. It only needed Oklahoma to give it a chance. To learn more about sorghum production in Oklahoma, visit reddirtandroundbales.com. I'm Dave Deken, and we'll talk with you next time as we take another look at rural life and agriculture in Oklahoma on Red Dirt and Round Bales.